Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Grae Area Podcast.
Grae Area, woo!
Yeah.
I am Shakoya D.
Being Breeze.
It's your boy Damani.
And if this is your first time joining us, this is a podcast about whatever we feel like talking about. It could be anything from love, life, music, life paths, just like food, whatever we feel like talking about. We have interesting conversations and we want to bring you guys in on that. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend, and tell a friend, and tell a friend, and tell a friend.
Yes, sir.
But this pod is gonna be a little bit different. Not too much, but since we got new subscribers, we got,
Patreon here.
a Patreon now. Things are changing. We're a year in now. We've been doing this. We've been here, y'all.
We ain't new to this. We true to
True
this.
to this, okay? Most podcasts don't make it this far, so we wanted to celebrate. And by doing that, we're going to reintroduce ourselves.
God, that's some celebration.
To everybody that's out there that's just tuning in, that's just finding out about us, who joined us recently, who follow us recently, let's get into it. Who wants to introduce them? Well, before we introduce ourselves, how are you guys today?
Amazing.
Marvelous.
I'm good. Alright. Well, who wants to go first? I feel like we should start with you. Oh, me? Okay, because I'm doing all the talking, so I should go first, huh? Alright, so I am Shakoya D. I am just me, Shakoya D, on all platforms. That's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, stuff like that. I'm a singer, songwriter, voice actor, entrepreneur, podcast host, as you can see. More coming soon. And I'm 1/3 of the Grae area. Also 1/3 of the Vibe Refill, and I'm the owner and creator of Crash by Cup. So,
Numbers on the board.
with that being said, this year 2023 is all about going and getting everything that God has set aside for me, that God laid before me, that God said I can have, to create it all and to get it all. So we here. So that's a little bit about me. And which one of y'all want to go?
It don't matter to me. Yeah. Alright, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Damani. I am artist, creative, entrepreneur, businessman, opportunity magnet. Just creative source. I'm just vibe creator, not curator, not to be confused with curator, pardon me. But yeah, just creative artist. Just I'm me. It's Damani on my socials. Who is Damani on everything. And yeah, I'm here for a good time and a long time. And yeah, also 1/3 of the Grae area. Yeah, that's me. Yes, sir. Pardon me.
Your turn.
What up, everybody? What up, everybody? I'm Being Breeze. Being Breeze. I do a lot. I'm a Renaissance man, to say the least. I'm an artist, songwriter, engineer. I'm learning to make beats now. So musically, I'm going to be doing everything. I'm going to have the ability to do everything myself. Vibe curator, fashion designer. I'm me on the chest this year.
Talk to him.
Taking off. I've been playing, I don't play no more. I'm a troll by trade, but I'm here. I'm done playing. I'm done trolling. If it's coming from me, it's a fact. What else I do? Art. I'm a painter, artist.
Arter. He's an arter.
I'm an arter.
He's an arter. That's new, guys.
But I paint. I make music, great music, vibe curator, and fashion designer. That's it.
Word.
Your favorite 1/3 of the Grae area. Checking in. I don't even know if that was a good introduction. I should have wrote this down.
I don't know.
I was nervous.
I wasn't ready to do mine either, but I liked y'all being my hype men, so it worked out.
Word, yeah, I was nervous. I think I'm gonna reintroduce myself at the end.
I'm with that.
But yeah, we just wanted to tell y'all who the Grae area is, what we're about. The Grae area. What is the Grae area?
It's an area where, it's the road less traveled. Less talked about. So we here to bring y'all breaking news.
Basically, like, we recognize in life that not everything is always one way. Not everything is always gonna look a particular way, sound a particular way. Not everything's always black and white. And there's a lot of gray area in a lot of things that we do, a lot of things that we see, just all of life's decision making, all of that stuff. And we're also in like an age group where this is how it started. I just remembered there was a phone call. I'm gonna backtrack. There was a phone call. There was a phone call between you and Sherrod, who we recently had on the podcast.
Hey, yo, Sherrod, what's up, man?
And we were talking about, y'all was talking about, like, getting older. I think this was after the whole conversation. That if
17?
Yeah, if you go back, if you knew what you knew now at the age of 17, what your life would look like and stuff like that. And y'all were talking, about, like, your younger selves and your older selves, and then you guys were talking about right now we in this gray area, and I can't remember what y'all said, but we in the gray area.
Word, now we in the gray area. It's a collective.
Yeah, it's a collective. We are a collective, but we're also like, we're a family.
We are a family.
Like a giant tree.
Reaching out for the stars.
This didn't go as planned.
So much more.
Yeah, I know.
We sang this before.
Life isn't a musical.
Life is
y'all
a musical.
Didn't plan this.
It is a musical. We
'Cause
still broke out into songs.
But y'all wasn't on one accord. If this was a musical, y'all would have been on one accord. Y'all was on
But
different
what if
time.
we planned to not be on one accord?
You don't
I don't
know.
want to hear
We
that.
don't know what we did.
I don't want to hear
It's
that.
for entertainment purposes only.
Exactly. You don't
Get y'all
know.
act
You don't even know.
Get y'all act together, man.
You don't know. But yeah, I don't know if we ever really introduced ourselves though.
I think we did. I don't think it was a good introduction. I mean, you came back with the introduction.
Yeah.
You came back swinging.
Yeah,
I was like,
I did.
Today?
Today.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, let me just borrow that. I like that.
Nah, cause like when people ask like, what is the gray area? Who is the gray area? Then it's like, how do you describe it? I feel like
it's the place that you want to be.
It's also life. I mean, to a large degree, because when is anything ever really just black and white? Like any scenario you've been in, it's never really like always one thing. It's like for every rule there's an exception to a rule.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's really never black and white. It's a lot of gray. We just don't acknowledge. A lot of people don't acknowledge how gray life is.
Yeah, and I feel like a part of it is because not why they're not acknowledging it. I don't really know why, but I think a lot of the grayness of life is literally us just kind of discovering what life truly is and what it means for us, what it looks like for us.
Breaking out the matrix.
That too, but like really recognizing that everyone creates their own reality, but people's realities also bleed into one another's, so to speak. So like, you have your own reality, but I'm also a part of that world, and that may look differently from my perspective of how you are a part of my world and stuff like that. So I feel like that's where the gray stuff comes in, because everybody has their own perception, their own reality, their own truth, so to speak, and stuff like that. So it just makes life gray, and we're in that area of recognizing it and embracing it rather than running from it. Yeah. I think that's what the gray area truly is.
Yeah.
And a collective.
Collective of creatives and entrepreneurs, great people, great conversations.
Right.
Great vibes.
Great vibes. Just greatness. in the gray area.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where, like, I know for me, personally, that's when I started to enjoy life more. When I started realizing that everything's not as black and white as people try to make it seem.
I'm still realizing that it's not as black and white. Like, every day I be having to remind myself that as an adult, like, when you really start adulting, you're literally creating everything. Like, so it's not even like, it's not one specific way to go. It's not one specific way to do anything. It's how do you want to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How can I use me and everything that I have to get to wherever I'm trying to go?
Yeah, and I was gonna say that's something that what I was gonna say was, I think life gives you options, and the reason why it's great is because you have to choose whether, like, you're deciding what ends up being black and white, but that's always subjective, right? So, like, what's good and bad, what's right and wrong, what's right for you isn't gonna be right for me, and it's not gonna be right for her.
It's
so
probably
it's like,
not even gonna be right for you your entire life.
Exactly.
For this moment of time.
You know, so when you start getting into it, I think the idea of stuff being black and white, it sounds nice, but there's so much room for interpretation. There's so much stuff, and again, even in adulting, like, there's ways that, like, our parents were doing stuff, and now it's like we can't do that no more. It was black and white before. It was either this or that. Now it's like, well, you actually can't. You shouldn't do that to your kid. Your kid is a person, or you shouldn't. Blah blah.
I can't wear my pants
It's
in
like,
my boots.
Yeah. But it literally boils down to whether it's fashion, whether it's art. It's like this was cool 10 years ago. Now it's like, nah, we're not doing it. We've evolved. We've moved past this. It's not black and white anymore. We have room for everybody. And I think it's just being okay with the ambiguous, being okay with the unknown stuff.
Yeah.
And another thing about the gray area, it's really like the middle ground. Like, the way that I'm thinking about it right now, it's like they talk about the people who made it already, it's people who struggling, and then it's like the people in the middle. They just the people in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but it's like, what happens in the middle? What's the story of the people that's in the middle?
Yeah.
And it's the irony is something that I figured out a long time ago. Most people are in the middle.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like most people aren't on the high end of whatever, are on the high end of life, and most people aren't on the low end. It's like there's extremes there, but most of us live in this middle space. We just don't address it. We just kind of and then most of the time we leave it up to either people who are like above us, quote unquote, right, to speak on it and be like, hey, this is this is how you do this, or this is what's going on, and it's like it's never really from our perspective. While you're in the moment, it's more so like, hey, I'm looking back, or I'm looking to try and get to riches and fame or whatever it is.
I was gonna say, man, I lost my train of thought.
Dang, nabbit.
Man, it was gonna be a good one too. Man.
Train came by, she lost the train of thought. This is crazy.
Do you know what had triggered it?
It was about being in the middle. Rather than like at the top or the bottom. I feel like, what I was gonna say is, even with being in the middle or living your life in the middle, like whatever that means to you or looks like to you, there are still highs and lows in the middle that we don't even necessarily talk about or acknowledge a lot of times. Like, there's points where you get to the higher points, or then there's points where sometimes you get to the lower points. I feel like that's what really also creates the grayness of that area of being in the middle, because you get closer to like the black. We're going to say the black is at the top and the white is at the bottom. Well, you get closer to like either the black or the white, and it's like those colors start to mix together because you're experiencing parts. You can experience parts of both. And then you're creating your own experience here in the middle. So I don't know if anybody really lives a black or white life. I feel like people say that it is, but it's not. I don't know that that's something that's truly even possible to do. But I think that the beauty of the gray area and the platform that we're creating is that we're embracing the fact of being in the gray area. we are walking toward it and walking in it proudly rather than trying to force it to be something that it's not. Like, it's us exploring what is this thing for real.
Yeah. What is this thing?
I was gonna say something, but I forgot it too.
Mm.
It was about something you said about being in the gray area. You don't think it's black or white.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people be trying to make it black and white for other people, not for themselves. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's. I feel like the black and white thing is for others.
But I feel like I agree with that. I feel like that's the weird part of life, though, that people are constantly trying to make decisions for other people, or trying to define what the black and white should be for other people, but I think that also comes along with people trying to define what you are or who you are or how you think, or trying to categorize it for themselves to start to understand you. So because like we're very like binary people, like binary thinking, so it'd be like if you're not this then you're this, or if you're not this then you're this. And I feel like we do that with categorizing people, whether it be like their personalities or like what career they chose or like whatever. So I'm trying to put you in the box of a lawyer, but you also went to medical school, but you also went to law school, but right now you're a yoga instructor, but like that type of thing. I know that was a very weird thing, but
no, that makes sense. And I was gonna say something else that I think about. Like, I think most people are afraid to like to live in the gray area or to experience it, because like when you're in it, you have to define what's black and white, right? So it's like now every scenario, like it's not like, all right, somebody else told you this is right or wrong. It's like you have to decide, well, is this right? Well, it's like, man, I gotta make every decision for this. I gotta decide every single thing. And it's like, it's so much easier if somebody else can think for you and decide, like, all right, this is black, this is white, this is how it's always gonna be, this is how it's not always gonna be. And then you can go from there. But I think we don't give ourselves the opportunity to really just make the decision. And it's like we can call stuff black and white if we wanted to. We just don't do it. And it's like we just have to define it for ourselves in the space that we're in.
Yeah, it's the art of making decisions, the art of decision making. And I don't even think we be trusting ourselves enough. A lot of people don't trust themselves enough to make the decision for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my things of this year. Like I realized that, well, over the past like 2-3 years, as I was, healing, I realized that I did not trust myself to, like, I was indecisive because I didn't trust myself to make the decision, or make the best decision for myself, or trust myself to recognize I had my best interests. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, and it's interesting because now, like, even in every decision, sometimes, like, I have to pause and just say to myself, nah, trust yourself. Like, because if I'm about to start backtracking on something, or no. Trust yourself. Trust the decision that you made. You did this for a reason. Just trust yourself. We're going to go with this. And I feel like that's such a powerful thing. Recognizing that and being able to continually choose to trust yourself, because it's not easy.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the thing we don't realize is, like, in order to trust yourself, you have to develop the habit of trusting yourself. So it's like you have to do it. Like, you have to just try and do it and get better at trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you never make the decision, you're never gonna be able to. But I think I made a great decision about this. I think I made a great decision about whatever it is, and it's like, you have to, again, train yourself to be able to do that. And I think when you actually go out, especially with adulthood, when you actually go out and experience, like, what it is to be adult, like, nothing is ever black and white. Like, in movies, there's a villain and there's a hero. It's like, in real life, it's like, nah, this person was just bad at this time, or this person was going through something and they just kind of were doing something that like, they hurt you, but they're not necessarily a villain, but they're a villain in your story, right? For this time period of your life.
That's like the people's different realities. That's why stuff be happening, and then people go on the news be like, they would never hurt a fly and da 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 da, and it'd be like, well, they just
heard a lot of flies.
They heard way more than flies.
Yeah, so but that's like in that person's reality. This wasn't a part of my reality. Like, so this is not something that I would ever expect, but in everybody else's reality that either experienced this or watched it or whatever, like that is what they saw. So it starts to become gray.
Well, and going back to trusting ourselves, I feel like it's a lot harder to trust ourselves because a lot of us look outward before we look inward. Like we're taught to look outward and before we look inward. And I don't even know what I was watching or listening to. The book, one of the books, whatever book we was reading, our eyes. We like our sight is a human's most powerful.
Atomic Habits.
It was in Atomic Habits. Word. So we're taught to like see. Granted, we could see without we see without using these eyes.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're taught about sight wrong.
Well,
that's how
I feel like as far as the five senses go, like we do rely on our sight a lot more than everything else. That's why like
you can see without your eyes.
Yeah, but it's more than five senses because I mean you can see without your eyes. You can hear you can hear yourself talking to yourself in your head, but your ears aren't picking up. Yeah,
sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, but so it's like it's way more than five senses. Like in terms of, in general, it's way more than five senses. I just don't think we talk about. Like the part that you're talking about, like the trust in yourself, I think is developed through just again you going out and being like, hey, almost like going out and making a decision and not worrying about what other people would have made, like what other people's decisions would have been.
And that's how I got to the sight thing because we're worried about everything external, so we're putting more pressure on ourselves to make the right decision or the best decision for ourselves. And I feel like when we're in the gray area, like actually, I feel in my head, the gray area is the unknown. So like, it's like you're making all these decisions, but you don't know the outcome of the decisions. The only things you know the outcome of is what's black and white.
Yeah, but the funniest part is something that I've noticed about myself is like the more sure you try and be about something, the less sure you are about it. Which is like. The more you try and be like, nah, let me confirm this, let me double down and confirm this, the less sure, for whatever reason, less sure you end up being. So, like, it's almost like you just have to make a decision and then just be okay with whatever happens after that. Because, like, before then, I'm trying to give an example or something, but before you're certain about it, you're just kind of looking around, what would this person do, what would this person, like, you're looking for the right and the wrong. And it's like, all right, there has to be a clear right and a clear wrong. And it's like, if there's no clear right and clear wrong, that means everything is up to me. And if everything is up to me at all times, for a lot of people, that's hard to deal with.
It'll be overwhelming.
Yeah.
It can be, but it's also a thing where a lot of people are taught from birth that we don't have control of our own lives. So if you're taught that you don't have the decision, like you're not creating the things in your life, then it's gonna scare you to make the decisions once you realize, oh snap, they were wrong. I actually do have to make this decision. Because a lot of things we leave up to chance, or we act like we just leave up to the universe or whatever to make whatever decision for me. But a lot of it is just us not making a decision to the point where whatever happens, that is what winds up being the decision. And then either we're not happy with it or we wish we could change it, but we didn't make we didn't actually choose anything. But not choosing is still a choice. So it's like, where was I going with this?
Not choosing is still a choice.
So it's like, it is scary. But I feel like for people, because I was watching, I forgot the quote by Felicia Rashad, but she was saying, no, I think this was the quote. She was saying her mom gave them aphorisms, something like that, to say like when they were little.
You my affirmations?
No, it was.
I just wanted to make sure.
No, it's something else. I'm gonna find the word.
Oh, you talking about I know what you're trying to say. I can't think of it.
I'm gonna find the word. Anyways,
Yeah,
but what it was that it was your inner self or inner universe creates your outer universe. And it's like just little things like that, and like she explained it and all that stuff, but like letting them know that like how you feel inside and the decisions that you make inside, how you look at yourself and how you look at the world is going to manifest into your reality around you. And I feel like with those types of things and those things being taught to you or explained to you at a young age, it helps to it helps for you to grow up and make those decisions and be more comfortable with, okay, I do have my best interests. I do have the ability to create the things that are around me. Like, I am in control of my environment. Life doesn't have to be like this. Even though you're telling me it has to be like this, it doesn't have to be. Because I am in control of my life. And I feel like a lot of people, it's so scary. And for us, it's so scary because a lot of things that we're taught is that we don't have control. You know? Even the saying, it is what it is. Like,
I don't even like that saying.
It's like, that's one of the things where people live by that. I mean, for a while, I was saying, like,
it sounds good. But
yeah.
Like, once
you
you
think
actually,
about
once
it,
you know, it's like, it's not what it is. Like, this,
People
that this can't fly.
I think people say it, or they say it with the wrong intention, because saying it is what it is, most of the time they're saying it like, hey, there's nothing I can do, it is what it is, as opposed to being like, no, this is what it is, and whatever that is
right.
what,
That's
like,
What I
just,
wanted to be.
yeah, it's like, this is whatever it is that's what it's always
or
been.
just recognizing that it is, like, versus it's like, hey, I couldn't do nothing about it. It's just,
yeah. And it's also funny because when I think about it, it's almost like if you were a kid and somebody gave you a bunch of toys, they gave you some Play-Doh or whatever, and they were like, all right, I know what this is supposed to be. What are you gonna call this? And it's like, all right, I'm not gonna call a car. I'm gonna call it a jet. Whatever you're gonna call it. And it's like for a lot of life, it's like it's your call on stuff, but it's like we don't feel like it's our call. So it's like, all right, it's like it's my call kinda, like, but what would you call this? And it's like, all right, well, what would he call this? And it's like, you're going to see what other people will call it so that you don't feel like you're isolated or you're crazy for making the wrong decision. But it's like, you're never going to fully be able to make the right decision all the time. Like, you can't live life trying to never make a wrong decision because you're never going to make anything.
That's how I was. I was just trying to make sure everything perfect.
Yeah.
Make sure I turn left where I was supposed to turn left, turn right. Granted, I'm not even on the road.
Yeah, but that's real life. Like, that was me for a long time. I'm like, yeah, I was so caught up on trying to like not make the wrong decision. It's like, bro, you gotta move. You gotta make something. Like, you can't.
and that was me
trying to
too.
turn the car and you ain't even moving.
Right.
I still be having to remind myself, like, hey, it's okay. Like, yeah, that sometimes I just be having to breathe. This is okay. Like, come on, boy, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
You're a king. You deserve this. This is what you want. And it'd be like, the stuff would be like, this is what you want to do. This is what you love to do.
Yeah.
And now you could do it. So why not just do it? And then it's like, but they, like, it'd be like tug of war with myself. It's like, but they said, nah, but you said, I mean, you are right, but, nah, ain't no but, It is what it is.
But
Sorry, y'all. If y'all hear any noises, Breeze's dog is in here.
She just trying to get comfortable.
Doing a bit much.
But what was the last thing you said?
It is what it is.
Before that.
Something.
Something.
Tug of war with myself. what did I say? Like, I'm having a tug of war with myself. This is what you want to do. This is what you enjoy doing. Why not just do it?
I think that's what I was gonna say, but it's just watching how we maneuver through life and like again just not making decisions, but like this is what I was gonna say. A lot of the times for me when I wake up in the morning, right, I like being isolated because I can't rely on anybody else's opinion, thought, like anything before I go in, right? So it's like it could even be the slightest thing. Like I could go like I can wake up and see if I see you working out early, my mind is automatically like, oh, you should probably work out. And it's like I wasn't thinking about working out at all, right? So it's just how and I'm thinking about how often before we even get a chance to make the decision ourselves, we're going to check to see what somebody else made, like what decision somebody made about our life, which is like our life, again, in terms of black and white, there's black and white for you. Like whatever works best for you is going to work best for you. I could try the exact same things and it's not going to work for me because, again, your life is different than mine. And what's black and white for me is totally different than what's black and white for you. And I think that's where wars get started over people not having the same definition of what black and white is. So it's like I feel like we can't even act like we can fully agree on what gray is. We just have to acknowledge that like somewhere in the middle, we can hope that we can agree on something, but we just have to in general we just have to choose like, hey, this is this and this is gonna be that.
Yeah. I know one thing for me, like I was so going back to like the decision scaring you. I was so indecisive that even going back to when you were talking about career, I would run away from the things that I wanted to do because I realized I had to make the decisions. And I didn't realize that until just now when we was talking, but like, I wasn't trying to do these things or perform or whatever because I didn't want to make the decision to move forward. Like, I wanted somebody to tell me, oh, you have rehearsal at this time, or you have to do this at this time, or do that at that time. And because that's what I was used to, like, that's what I grew up on, like, somebody else not making all of the decisions, but like the important ones. All right, I scheduled a doctor's appointment for you, like stuff like that. So just realizing like, that's all that was the scariest part, the decision making. And that still sometimes is the scariest part. It's like, it's very baffling.
And it'd be like, we be knowing what to do. I got two things. We be knowing what to do, but having to be responsible for something that you never really experienced before, it's like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. Mm-hmm. But I know I'm supposed to be going to the doctor. Mm-hmm. All this paperwork, they be speaking a different language, but I gotta go. So, yeah, like at some point, you gotta take your time and just do it.
Don't forget your second point. This is a total side note. I just love the fact that it's not as much paperwork as it used to be when you go to the doctor's office. It'd be like 1 to 2 pages. I'd be good. Or they have you fill out stuff online before you go. I just love it so much because I used to have to call my mom like, what number on the insurance card goes? What is the group number? Where is that located? They're asking for a phone number. What's the phone? Like...
All right, on the W-2.
So I was just grateful for that. But go ahead.
Oh, my other point was to go back to when you was talking about you see me working out, you would be like,
should probably work out.
Yeah, I should probably work out. That's one of the reasons why I like waking up early, just because it'd be silence, it'd be peaceful. 9 times out of 10, as long as I get up, now I'm making a decision what I'm going to do. I don't necessarily have to do the same thing every morning, but I just have to do what I want to do. Like, the other day, I got up, I was like, I don't want to paint, I don't want to mix nothing with music. Let me read. So I read. This morning, I got up, I went outside. Like, went straight outside. I mean, I planned on going outside. I didn't feel like it, but I was like, planned on going outside anyway, so let me just go outside. So I went outside, and I love being outside anyway, so might as well get my day started out there, and it's not freezing, so It's just like me making that first, like you were saying, me making that first decision. For me, one, I'm putting myself first. And two, I'm starting my day off with what I want to do. And
and you're starting your day off making the decisions for you. And that's
true.
the thing. Like, because something that I noticed, I got 2 points, but something that I noticed one of the days when I woke up, because me being up at 5 a.m., right, I'm trying to, if I'm writing to a beat that I see on YouTube, I have to literally, if I see anything at all, like, I'm trying to find a random beat. If I see anything at all, it could be like some breaking news, some whatever, right? It could literally take me on a whole different, like my mind's going into a whole different space. So what I noticed when I was writing, I was like, I'm locked in, and then like an ad played in the middle of what I was doing, and then like I realized like my mind went to a totally different place, and it took me about 15 to 20 minutes for me to get back to where I was at originally.
Yeah.
And I was like, but that they talk about distraction. Like when you're in a flow, they say like the reason why it's important to minimize distractions is because it can take you 20, 30 minutes just to get back to where you were before. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you're getting distracted a million different times, how many times before you're so far away from it? And then the second thing I was going to say was in regards to like us being able to, like looking for right and wrong, and again, looking for all of this stuff, like black and white and all of this stuff. It's because in school, everything was dependent on right and wrong. Right, mm-hmm. You're taking the test. There's only a right answer, and there's 3 wrong answers. There's only one right answer, and it's like so much of our conditioning, how we grew up, is hey, you have to have the right answer, because if you don't have the wrong answer, and it's like if you have the wrong answer, somebody's gonna come say something to you. You're gonna have a failing grade. There's gonna be consequences to your wrong answer. Mm-hmm. Granted, there's gonna be consequences in life as well, but they're not nearly like you going to the doctor. You mess up on a paper, they might just be like, hey, sir, you said you blah blah. 9 times out of 10, you probably, like, even if you made a slight mistake, they're gonna be like, oh, he put the wrong year for his birthday. He put 13. He was born on the 13th month. He probably meant 12. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or at the very least, they'll call you like, hey, we just wanted to confirm we got this blah blah. And it's never as
my bad. I was nervous.
Yeah, and it's like it's never as serious as school. Like school, it feels like, hey, either you get the right answer and you move on, or you get the wrong answer and you don't move on. And it's like that's not how life is.
Even with that, you wanna go?
I was just gonna say that's not to say that some decisions there may be some serious consequences.
No, there are.
But not every decision has like serious consequences. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I wanted the car to go by, but we wanted to if we go to like even a corporate setting, the people who everybody knows that it's not a right and wrong. Everything be trial and error, mm-hmm. and they like the people who think differently, mm-hmm. And maybe find innovative ways, new ways to do stuff, new options, new products.
Ask questions.
Ask questions,
mm-hmm.
yeah, and like actually want to learn, make stuff interesting, for the betterment of the company or whatever it is. Like we can't just keep doing the same thing because it's not going to work, because times is changing so fast. Everybody brings something different to the table.
Yeah.
Like, everybody brings something different.
And then with that, how could we ever expect anything to be black and white when everybody's bringing something different? Well, everybody should, if everybody was themselves, everybody would bring something different to the table. Shout out to Dr. P. If everybody was themselves, everybody would bring something different to the table, right? Sometimes people aren't themselves, so of course they're just kind of gonna fall in line. But like even in like if you're talking about a corporate setting, it'll be a hard fast rule. It'll be like, yep, this is how it is, and then you find an exception. And now we have to have a conversation about the exception, because it's like we didn't plan for this exception. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what do we do now? So now do we change the entire rule, or is like do we just write this off as a one-off? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know if you guys know this, but whenever you find one exception to something, it's like all of a sudden now you see the exception everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, now it keeps popping up. Now we really got to address this. Now you said there was nothing going to be on the right side of the street. the last 3 times I went over there, I'm seeing something on the right side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I know you said 98% of the time, but what about the other 2? What do you want us to do here?
Seems like I drive past this thing only on the 2%.
Yeah, you know, so it's just, I think black and white makes us feel more secure, but like the gray is where we're actually at.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to truly feel secure with black and white when you don't control the black and white.
I feel like it's hard
sense.
for us. I don't think it's hard for everybody. Because I feel like a lot of people find comfort in the fact that they are not in control of it. Because if I'm not in control, then I don't have to take accountability for what happened.
And if you're not in control, then you can't control anything that happens.
A lot of people do not want control. Like,
what comes with control? Responsibility.
Yeah, so it's like, it's, I guess, what did they say? I don't know. It's a catch-22, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, because to a degree you want to be in control, but you like, I don't want to be, like, dang, I want to be, people, what you really want what a lot of people really want is they want all of the benefits of being in control
without
and the consequences of taking accountability, and that's just not realistic. Like, we just can't.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are fine with not being in control, or being in control with minimal parts, or like particular spaces and areas, like or not, let's not say not being in control, let's say not acknowledging that they are in control. Because it's
giving up your control.
A lot of people are fine with that, and a lot of people like are fine with just going with whatever, however everything is. Whoever's making the decision, people be fine with going along with it. And that's not to say that it's a bad thing, because that's your prerogative. Like, if that's how you want to live your life, that is your prerogative. So I know I personally don't want to live my life like that. And I like making my decisions. It'd be hard sometimes. It'd be scary, like we already talked about. But I would rather make my own decisions than to just go along with whatever everybody else is saying, doing, or telling me that I should do. Or telling me what my life is going to look like. Because that happens often.
Yeah, I think in us trying to understand, and I mean, I guess this entire time we've just been defining what we feel like the gray area is to us, but like, which is even again, it's still us trying to define it is still like, this is very subjective to us, because somebody else may look at it like, I don't feel like that's the gray area at all, but
it's just the unknown.
It's the unknown, but it's at the end of the day, it's your call, right? And it's like understanding. It's like, hey, at the end of the day, bro, it's your call. Like you have the final say about what this is, and it's like most of the time we try and give somebody else the power, so that if it goes wrong, see, you made the wrong decision.
Right.
See, I would have never did that, and it's like everything is easier. It's so much easier to see the full spectrum of the game when you're on the sidelines, because you can see. Like, I remember I was watching the clip, but I think it might have been Trevor Noah. He was saying he's watching the game. He's like, he's watching the soccer game. He's like, man, how did you not see him? He was coming. He was like, well, I guess the like soccer field is like meters long, and you didn't see, you didn't have the angle from the
bird's eye view.
Yeah, you didn't have a bird's eye view, and it's like, it's so much easier for us to be like, hey, you made the wrong decision from back here. It's like, hey, nah. When you're in the gray and you have to define everything, then it's like, all right, well, hey, I said this was this. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, cool. We can make a new decision. But you can't. It's harder to. Me personally, I feel like you should be okay with knowing when to make the call, because at the end of the day, it's really your call whether or not you decide to give up the decision or not. But
yeah, I agree. I feel like it's all perspective, like we always say. That's really like the gray area. I feel like us defining it, this is how we define it, because this is the platform that we've created. So at this moment, this is how we define it. But also, like, we are the gray area. So
Word. Ain't no gray area without.
No what?
Don't even worry about
me.
But
thoughts ain't come quick enough.
But yeah, I think it's very subjective. I think as we grow and as we flow, we'll start to define it more. We might define it in a different way going forward, but that's a part of being in the gray area.
Hey, figure it out as you go.
Yeah, we're still. Yeah, I was about to say we're still learning and growing. Go ahead.
I was gonna say as we grow and expand and evolve, I feel like it'll change. Like what it looks like for us right now, it's gonna be completely different. Probably in like 6 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we will be growing and expanding and evolving. Mm-hmm. And we want you guys to come on that journey with us. But do you guys have any? Do you want to reintroduce yourself?
Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good, everybody? I am being Breeze, the vibe curator, artist, designer, philanthropist. What's a philanthropist?
We'll talk about it later. It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
Philanthropist. Inspiration. Just, I could only put myself into so many words. Actually, putting myself into words is a disservice. So I am being Breeze and I must be experienced. I like that.
Word.
You want to reintroduce yourself?
Hey man, I could. Yeah, it's your boy Damani. I'm full-time creative artist, vibe. I am, like I said, I'm creative in everything I do. Musician. It is what it is. But yeah, this is full-time creative. It's creative artist, person, human. And I appreciate y'all for joining us. And nice to meet you.
Word.
Officially.
And I am Shakoya D. I'm a singer, songwriter, voice actor, entrepreneur, podcast host. And I do things. I do many things. I am an instrument, and my voice is my medium.
Look at y'all.
That is who I am. But thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Grae Area Podcast.
Gray Area. Woo!
Yeah. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our Patreon. It starts for the low price of $3 a month. The Patreon was created to help us to be able to create more content for you guys. You guys get to see more behind the scenes footage of us doing podcasting, but also doing our music, different things like that. We also just want to talk to y'all sometimes. So join our Patreon. We are building, we are expanding. There will be lots of new content to come. But also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tell a friend, and tell a friend, and tell a friend. But we will see you guys next time. Bye!
Adios!
I'll put up 3 fingers instead of 7.
I realized what I was supposed to say.
Go ahead.
Realize.
I forgot. It's your boy Damani, here to create from the inside out. That's all I wanted to say.
Word.
That's him.
That's it.
You know who I am, being Breeze. Putting myself in the words to do me a disservice, so I must be experienced. I'm about to start saying that.
That's fine.
And I am Shakoya D. I am an instrument, and my voice is my medium.
Fire.
But we're the Grae Area. See y'all next time. Woo!
Adios!
Stay black,
Get on my
people.
motherfucking face.
We done for real?
Yeah, we did.
Push the goddamn button.